To answer your question, yes, the toss absolutely worked. I got, my Mothman plushie yeeted into my face. Thank you. Hi, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, hi, I'm FEARSONA. You can call me Sona, and I'm your friendly neighborhood true crime VTuber here to give you full body chills. Guys, one lunch from hell that killed 3 people in one go. That's what we're talking about today. That's the case that Australia has been, talking about. Well, I mean, the whole world has been talking about for the past couple of years, but especially this year, because finally on September 8th, we had a sentence, and we're going to be talking about that today. The case has been dubbed the so-called mushroom murders or mushroom cap murders, and it's crazy. As in, like, insane. The evidence, how it played out, insane. But yeah, thank you so much, you guys. Oh, I just saw that Joshua sent 3 super chats, so I'm gonna be adding 3 plushies at the end of the stream. I just have to like mark it. Wait, let me just write it down because I added a bunch of plushies, and I'm gonna be adding 3 more. And also Melissa has been a member for 7 months. Thank you so much. My pitbull broke her hip. Oh no, what? While roughhousing. No, I hope she's okay. Oh no, Melissa, I hope she's okay. I hope she gets treated and she feels much better. All the best of luck and speedy recovery for the doggo. Okay. Hope your her dog is all right, Melissa. Yeah, hope the pit is all right. Okay. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sorry that there was a change of plans and we didn't have a stream yesterday. My health has not been on my side for the past month, and I could not do, I could not finish the case yesterday, but today I'm prepared. Today everything is prepared. We have some videos, we have screenshots, we have crazy stuff. Like, the story is absolutely crazy. So make yourselves comfortable. If the stream is buffering, please make sure to refresh the browser. Sometimes it happens. But yeah, make yourselves comfortable. Grab yourself a beverage, hot or cold, like depending on the weather. I guess for some of you guys, it's already pretty cold. For me, unfortunately not. Still 34 degrees Celsius, which is like 90 something Fahrenheit during the day. So pray for me. But it's still going. Like, here in Taiwan, it's just fucking crazy. It's humid, it's hot. Absolutely insane. I'm having cold Pepsi. Hey, I approve. Pepsi's good. Thanks everyone. Also, my pitbull's name is Princess. Hey. Well, I hope that Princess recovers very quickly and she feels much better soon. Can I have a mushroom? I don't think you want this kind of mushroom. After you hear today's story, I don't think you would like to try this kind of mushroom. Okay, without further ado, let's get right into it because it's crazy. So, do you ever think about the meals you share, with your family? It's usually laughter, the clicking of cutlery, the stories passed around the table, and then imagine the same dinner becomes the stage for something sinister. Also, we're gonna set the mood with some music. So this is that kind of story, but before we go chasing, fungal poisons and court transcripts, let's pause and go back to how this all even started, with the person at the center of the case. And that person is Erin Trudy Patterson. She was born in 1974 as Erin Scudder and would later become Erin Patterson after marrying Simon Patterson. So she's a mother, a wife, at least on record because they divorced, and ultimately the architect of a lunch so lethal it stunned Australia. So her marriage to Simon had reportedly fractured by 2020, like they were separated, living different lives. though, you know, still tangled by family ties. And generally, they were actually on friendly terms. They were still hanging out because of kids, you know. Over time, Erin's relationship with Simon's relatives, his parents, Dawn and Gail, and his aunt and uncle, Heather and Ian Wilkinson, would become central to a horror that unfolded on one July afternoon. And it's very confusing, you know what? Because I was looking at, I wanted to describe weather on that July afternoon, like hot July afternoon, you would think. But then articles refer to that period of time in Australia as winter. And I'm just like, what? Wait, is it winter in Australia in July? And then it's like summer in December? But whatever. It happened in July. So one lunch killed 3 people in one go. The question is, how? How? And was it intentional? Some might say this was a dinner turned crime scene. Others that it was a murder very carefully dressed as a meal. In today's video, we will walk through exactly how Erin got from family tensions and fractured marriage to the tangle of mushrooms, deceit, and courtroom showdown. But to really understand it, we first need to know who was Erin before the slaughter, what drove her, and what kept her calm at the table. And Dorothy says, this mushroom is poison. This mushroom is delicious. Remember to check your mushrooms, to check if your mushroom is safe before consumption. See, this is like the emotes that Dorothy sent. It's like, yeah, technically it's accurate, but not in this case. So in this case, it was very tricky because the mushroom that Erin used, or that was used, like it looked very inconspicuous. Let's just say it just looked very inconspicuous. Like it didn't seem like, yeah, it just looked like some edible mushrooms. So there's that. So, you know, there's that you have to consider. But yeah, some poisonous mushrooms, they have like bright colors. They have like, they look kind of like more intricate. I don't know. And it's very easy to tell that, hey, maybe I shouldn't eat this mushroom. Okay. So, as I mentioned before, Erin and Simon's marriage ended, but they remained friendly for the sake of their children and, you know, still hung out with Simon's family since Erin's parents passed away quite a few years ago. So, you know, like they weren't in the picture anymore. So Erin had a family in Simon's family, basically. Then there was this 1 week in July, specifically, the week of like July 25th to like 29th, or the thing happened on July 29th, but there was this 1 week in July when Erin invited Simon and Simon's family, Dawn, Gail, and then Gail's sister and brother-in-law, Heather and Ian, over for lunch. And Simon, curiously, like interestingly, Simon in the end couldn't make it that day. She was inviting him too, but he couldn't make it that day, which was actually in the end, like later, huge luck that he did not attend the lunch. Because, yeah, it turned out pretty bad later. See, so at first, they really couldn't agree on a date. Like everyone was kind of busy, and they even asked Erin, like, you know, how about like the 2 of us come over for dinner tonight, and then the other 2 can join you for lunch another day. And Erin was like oddly insistent. She was like, no, I really want you guys there together because I have something very, very important to discuss and it really can't wait. So I would just like to have everyone there in one go. Yeah, foreshadowing. So yeah, and listen, like that night, Erin, like the night of July 29th, and that's July 29th, 2023, because that's when it happened, 2023. So that night, Erin absolutely outdid herself. She prepared beef Wellingtons for each guest like individual kind of beef Wellingtons for each guest with the filling, the mushroom filling, and like a side of mushrooms. And listen, like making beef Wellington is a lot of work. And she did individual servings for each guest. It was like on the surface, exactly the kind of warm family lunch you see in lifestyle magazines. Like it looked great. It looked absolutely amazing. You know, like everyone was impressed. They were just like, oh my God, like Erin, how long did you stay in the kitchen? Because, you know, this is like very time consuming. She's like, oh, you know, but it's very important. And I really wanted to serve something nice for you guys. Yeah, that shit takes so much time to make. Yeah. So also Boss Muffin, hello. Yeah, so, you know, the guests were like super impressed. And so guests show up, Erin serves their plates, and it all looked great. And someone at one point even made a joke that, wow, the food looks great. You know, all of it looks great. If only all the plates matched, because apparently she served almost all of the dishes in these like gray plates, but hers was a different color. Yeah, you can, and that's hint. So hers was a different color, and Erin kind of just laughed it off like, oh yeah, you know, I have this nice set of plates, like the gray plates, those are new, but they didn't have a bigger one, so I just used my, you know, like I only had like a set number of these plates, and it just wasn't enough, so I had to use some of my old plates for myself, and I just wanted you guys to have nicer plates. You know how it is, right? And I mean, like, it's fair, you know? Yeah, my plates are each a different color, shape, size, and I don't have a set of plates for guests. Like, I don't have a fancy set of plates, and it's a mix and everyone just gets a plate, you know? That's it. So I get it. But this is a true crime story, so huge side eye. Okay, so, you know, they dig in. And someone finally asks Erin about the important news that she wanted to share with them. And suddenly, Erin gets very serious. Like, she looks tense. She looks kind of sad. And then she drops a bombshell. I have cancer. That's what Erin said. And then she elaborated that it was ovarian cancer, but was just, you know, she was just really scared and nervous to share the news with the family, and especially with kids. So she says like, oh, I decided to, you know, talk to you guys first, because I need your advice on how to break the news to the kids. Like, that's my problem, you know, like this is the big news that I had to share, and I could really use some advice, you know, how to talk to my kids about it. Everyone was shocked, but they were also very supportive and understanding. Like, you know, words of encouragement were exchanged during the meal, you know, words of like support. And what happened after the plates were cleared is where the story becomes less family time and more forensic thriller. So within 24 hours, all 4 guests were in hospital with suspected gastroenteritis. And listen, gastroenteritis is not lethal. Like, it can be very bad. It's basically like, oh, stomach bug, right? Like, doctors were like, at first they were just like, oh, okay, well, you guys probably caught the same stomach bug. It's fine. It's bad, but it's gonna be fine. Like, we can take care of you guys. But then it wasn't really improving. So doctors were just like, okay, this is more than a stomach bug. Like, that's not that, you guys should be improving by now. Like, it was just not going away, no matter what they tried. And as the emergency beds filled and the family's story buckled into chaos, investigators police were called, because the doctors just said like, hey, it's a little suspicious. Like, something's going on. And they started thinking like, okay, what did these people eat? Because like there had to be some kind of common denominator here. And the only thing that could have caused these symptoms that everyone ate, well, that's what the doctors actually determined, or, they said like the only thing that could have caused these symptoms and for them to be in this situation were the so-called death cap mushrooms. And listen, the death cap mushroom is not your backyard forager's novelty find. Like, this fungus is stealthy and clinical. It can look very similar to like edible mushrooms. Like, it's, like if you look at the picture, some edible mushrooms are similar. So this is the death cap mushroom, and it's one of the most lethal mushrooms in nature's pantry. Its poison doesn't slam victims immediately. That's why the doctors thought that, oh, this is just stomach bug. This is just food poisoning and you're gonna be fine, because it's like, it really builds up like vomiting, diarrhea, but then it just kind of improves. Like there's like mild nausea, diarrhea. Then there's like some improvement. But then like if it's death cap mushroom, it kind of tricks you. Like at first you're improving, like it's long, you're improving, and then it just goes downhill. Because there's catastrophic liver failure eventually, and your organs start failing one by one after that, and there's no rescue. So it's the sort of timing that can make a carefully arranged murder look at first glance like an unlucky bout of food poisoning, and that's what the doctors were thinking. Also, Tsunohanashi says, also the fact it happened to 3 different people is not a coincidence. Oh, absolutely. And they were 3 people out of 4 that were guests at the same meal, the same lunch. So doctors are like, wait a minute, you guys ate at the same time and the same thing, and all four of you ended up in the hospital. What the fuck? So yeah. So how, that's where the doctors arrived at the question, like, how did the death cap mushrooms end up in Erin's beef Wellington? Because that's exactly what, right? Like, that's exactly what everyone ate. How did the death cap mushrooms end up in the beef Wellingtons? Where had the mushrooms come from? Like, did Erin eat the same portions as her guests? Why were the sickest people the ones who ate the beef Wellingtons with the mushroom filling? And yeah, like, did she eat the same? Like, is she okay? Because, Erin also ate the beef Wellington. So where is she? So let's be specific. Within about 24 hours of that lunch, Dawn and Gail Patterson and Heather and Ian Wilkinson were all on stretchers. Like, initially doctors treated them for the food poisoning, but then but for the treating clinicians, like, something was wrong. How severe it was and the timing, like, these weren't isolated cases of a bad meal. And hours later, messages between clinicians and the toxicology unit started using words that made, medical people sit up. Like, they started using things like, quote, delayed onset, severe liver dysfunction, and at the end, one of the doctors sent a message saying, consider mushroom poisoning. So, right, like, the 4 of them are in the hospital. Where is Erin? Because Erin ate the same beef Wellington. So where is she? Like, she should have the same poisoning, right? So Erin does show up at the hospital, supposedly with similar symptoms, but she did not want to be admitted. Yeah. Like, doctors at the regional hospital where Erin presented were so alarmed that they repeatedly urged further care. They were just like, why don't leave? Just stay, because you might be feeling like, she's like, yeah, I have like mild vomiting, mild diarrhea. I kind of feel weird, but I'm okay mostly, and I don't want to stay. And they're just like, hey, don't go, because you might be okay. You might be feeling kind of okay now, but you know, in a bit, like you might go down like the rest of them. So why don't you stay? And she was just like, no, I want to go. And the record shows that she did the opposite. Like she signed herself out of the hospital 5 minutes after being told of the possible diagnosis. And I do have a video of that. So she comes in. So we have a recording of Erin showing up to the hospital and talking to a medical professional. Like it takes, oh yeah, like this is where she's exiting. So the video is actually 2 minutes, 10 seconds long. See, like the medical professional is like asking her, hey, maybe not. Well, I mean, you know, they're trying to stop her. They're trying to get her to stay. And she's just talking to them. She's just like, no. And this is on July 31st, 2023. So within 24 hours, pretty much. And there's like, they're trying to stop her from leaving the hospital. She's, you know, she's just standing by the door. She's ready to go. She is ready to go. She's just like, nope, I'm okay. And so they're talking to her. I'm just going to skip a little bit more. I guess she signs like the discharge papers or some papers, like she's not gonna stay. And then and then she goes and she exits and she's like, bye, that's it. And she goes and then she's gone. So that choice would become a pivotal moment in the prosecution's narrative. Like a person who knows the danger, she's been informed that there's a suspicion that, you know, all of you guys, like this is at this point, like she wasn't suspected yet. At this point, it was like, hey, you ate the same thing. Please stay because we suspect that all of the others have death cap mushroom poisoning. You're going to go down too. So please stay at the hospital. And she's like, no. So now it switches, you know, like the prosecution, a person who knows that the danger leaves the scene. And a short time later, the very people she'd fed are critically ill. Commander says she ain't gonna run away that's so easily. I have one eye. Jeez. She wants to get out of there. Oh, she wanted to get out of there so bad. She was like ready, right? Like the clinician was like, well, the nurse was trying to stop her. She's like, hey, just, you know, just wait a minute. Like you can see how the nurse is kind of like extending her hands and being like, hey, you know, this is the situation. Please calm down. Maybe you should stay, because it's not looking good for the rest of them. So please, you know, we wanna make sure that you're okay. And she's like, no, like I'm going. Like I don't care. Wait, sorry, I have to like, yeah. So I am dead serious about that woman. Yeah, like I mean, sounds like she's either faking or being stubborn. Well, I mean, she claimed that she had some symptoms. She claimed that, oh, you know, she's also feeling kind of bad, but it's not too bad, so she's gonna leave, right? Will, hello, morning to Will, and thank you so much for tuning in. It's suspicious at best and just criminal at worst. Okay, so unfortunately, Ian Wilkinson, so there was only one guest surviving, and that was Ian. So, you know, the husband of Gail. Oh, thanks for Joshua. Thank you so much, by the way. I just fell to the floor. Hi, everyone. Hi, Sona just got home. Hey, welcome back. Otskare. One word for the story so far. Well, I was driving. Gasp. Seriously. Okay, also I have to like put 4 plushies then at the end of the stream. Okay, so going back to the case, Ian Wilkinson, the surviving guest, was the one who spent the longest time fighting for his life. He was in intensive care for weeks. Ian is the husband of Heather, not Gail, sorry. Don and Gail are married. Those are Simon's parents. And then Ian and Heather are basically, I think Ian is the brother of Gail. So yeah, they are cousins. So he was in intensive care for weeks, a battle that included support for failing organs and at one point consideration of liver transplant. Like he might have, you know, he was getting closer to that. The only definitive rescue when amatoxin that is in death cap mushrooms has already done its worst, you know, like that. he was fighting for his life because his liver was failing too. The other 3 patients weren't so lucky. Gail and Heather died within a few days of being admitted, and Dawn also followed soon after. So Dawn also passed away within a few days. One of the tragic ironies of amatoxin poisoning is the way the body betrays you, you know, like hours of discomfort, then it's kind of improvement, and then it's just sharp downhill spiral for your liver. Like it was so horrible. Like it was absolutely horrible. And, you know, doctors contacted toxicologists because they're just like, yeah, this was death cap mushroom poisoning. We have to investigate this. So they contact toxicology unit. Pathologists began urgent testing, and they collected the beef Wellington remains, you know, remnants from Erin's house, even the plates. You know, they collected everything. Investigators and hospital staff worked together to test tissue samples of and gastric contents for amatoxins that are in death cap mushrooms. When toxicology reported back, the results matched suspicion. So markers consistent with death cap poisoning, and medical tests converted suspicion into evidence, right? Like this was for sure death cap mushrooms. Like it was poison. Now all eyes turned back to Erin because hello, did you use death cap mushrooms in those beef Wellingtons, like knowingly? Is that what you did? That's crazy. So here's where Erin's, like, you know, here's Erin's starting line. When police and hospital staff questioned her, she claimed that about half of the mushrooms she used were fresh mushrooms purchased from Woolworths. So this is a major Australian supermarket. And the other half, by the way, so she said like half of mushrooms were from Woolworths, right? Like they're from the supermarket. And they're like, okay, but what about the other half? And she said the other half were dried mushrooms she had bought earlier from an Asian grocery store. This is what she said, that, oh, I bought it from like Asian market somewhere in Melbourne suburbs, or maybe somewhere in Oakley or Glen Waverley. I don't really remember. Yeah, she doesn't remember. She's like, oh, maybe, but, you know, but investigators scratched their heads, like, because try as they might, you know, they were like, okay, we're going to investigate. We're going to find this shop because they are fucking selling death cup mushrooms to people, like dried death cup mushrooms. Like this cannot be allowed, right? Like this can't go on. But try as they might, they couldn't find any such store that stocked dried death cup mushrooms. And she didn't have any receipt. She was just like, you know, they asked her like, hey, do you have a receipt? Can you give us a receipt so we can see the name of the store, because you don't remember, right? Like she said like, oh, I don't remember the name of the store. So it's like, they're like, okay, well, just get us the receipt. And she's like, oh no, I don't have a receipt. I don't believe in the receipts. Like, oh, that is, you know, I don't have it. So she doesn't have a receipt, no listing. There's no verified supplier. Like she doesn't remember the name. If Erin truly bought these mushrooms from a grocer, like someone somewhere should have a record, but that store should exist. However, nobody could pin it down. So there's no one that can really identify the store. And that discrepancy, you know, calling up a mythical shop that no one can locate, no one can name, became a sore, glaring wrinkle in her credibility. Like it's just like bigger side eye, you know, everyone's just like, yeah, okay, check her backyard. No, seriously, no, like that, we're gonna get to that, but Jesus, death cup mushrooms are found all over the US, UK, Europe, Australia, Asia, and Northern Africa. Yeah, they are, but in Australia, they are kind of only in certain areas, like very specific areas. they're not just in Australia, they're not that easily found. Like you have to go to specific areas, and we're gonna get to that. So even before dawn had passed, police were already pulling Erin for questioning. In one of those interviews, she was told that Gail and Heather had died, and according to the court records, she said that she had no idea what was going on, but insisted that she was trying to help give investigators as much information. Sorry, I wanna like do that. God damn it! Don't. Why is my finger not bending? Bent finger. Okay, wait, maybe this one. As much information. Oh yeah, here we go. I have to recalibrate this hand. So she was trying to give them as much information as possible, but when they asked the name of the store, she's like, oh, I don't remember. So yeah. And it's worth highlighting that when the defense of Erin's version claims, you know, they kind of claim, well, I mean, okay, so what the defense you know, of Erin's like claimed. So they claimed that she would say about, well, she said about the in-laws and Ian and Heather, she would say, I loved them, they'd always been so good to me, or they'd supported me emotionally even after the separation, end quote. Those were Erin's words, and they sound comforting, but under cross-examination, they're put under a magnifying glass. Like the jury hears, okay, I love you, you know, like I have cancer, so you'll come over, you know, you have to come over because I have cancer. And you know, this now sounded more and more like a ploy. Like more, the cancer thing sounded like a ploy, right? Like this entire facade of like sourcing mushrooms from a store that doesn't exist, and then, you know, like making them into beef Wellingtons, supposedly accidentally or something. I don't know, like the supposedly she didn't know. It's just major side eye, very suspicious. Now here's where things really start to smell like cover up, because Erin was asked two key questions. So she was asked, do you own a dehydrator? And did you ever forage mushrooms yourself? So her responses were evasive, like they were also suspicious. She denied owning a dehydrator. She's like, no, I don't own a dehydrator. And she denied foraging for death caps or for any mushrooms. She's like, no, I don't forage for mushrooms. But then she said something weird. Like she left open that maybe there was a manual for a dehydrator in my house. What? Like she literally said, I don't have a dehydrator, but you might find a manual for a dehydrator in my house. How does it make sense? Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, I don't have a dehydrator, but you might find a manual in my house. And they're like, what? So did you own a dehydrator at any point? And she's just like, I don't know, like, you know, girl, commit to the lie or tell the truth. No, seriously. And unfortunately, evidence was not on her side, because some CCTV footage emerged. Security footage from a landfill shows Erin's red car pulling in on August 2nd, 2023. So this is only like, what, 3 days after the deadly lunch? So she pulls up to the landfill and she is seen unloading a bulky item from her boot, walking it into the waste shed and dumping it. And prosecutors say that this item was the food dehydrator. 3 days after that lunch, the deadly lunch, she dumps a food dehydrator. What the fuck? And she drives off, and she's like, yep. She just closes it, drives off, goodbye, you know, like that. Oh my God. but she doesn't own a food dehydrator, and she just might have a manual, but you know, she doesn't own one. I didn't have a dehydrator, but I might have a manual. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's like, I don't have a dehydrator. There might be a manual. Oh, also, I failed to mention that I just dumped my food dehydrator, like, you know, 3 days after the murder. She might lie, but recorded footage does not. Yeah, like recorded footage, CCTV footage does not lie. Like, this is her dumping the freaking food dehydrator. Wait, I have to like, yeah, this is her carrying a food dehydrator to the landfill, to the dump. So there's that. So later, investigators recovered the dehydrator from the e-waste bin, and forensic testing revealed, surprise, surprise, the traces of death cap mushrooms on the dehydrator, and her fingerprints were found on the device. You know, they were everywhere, so this was definitely Erin's device, and it matched the manual that was in the house. So there's that. Do with it what you will. She doesn't have a dehydrator anymore. Yeah, I don't have a dehydrator anymore. To the surprise of literally no one, absolutely no one. And at trial, Erin admitted that she dumped the device. She finally admitted, you know, like she shifts her story. She's like, okay, fine, I did have a dehydrator, but I dumped it. Oh shit. Okay, thank you. Hi Sona. Thank you so much, Jack. Thank you so much. Wait, Jackai, thank you so much for the super. I'm gonna add the, Jesus Christ, I have to add 5 plushies, you guys. And Jackai says, hi Sona, been a minute, glad I caught you live. I'm so happy that you got me live. I'm very tempted to get the Fear Unlocked hoodie. Ooh, nice. Yeah. Maybe the hat to go with it. Keep up the great work. I'll be watching. Thank you so much. Wait, I'll be watching. Is that a threat or just a promise? I hope it's just a promise and not like a threat like Duolingo, because Duolingo has been threatening me lately. But thank you so much for the super. Okay. You guys, so at trial, Erin changes her story and she says like, okay, fine, I had the food dehydrator, but I dumped it, saying that she did so because by that point she was aware that death caps were suspected and she didn't want evidence, quote, evidence of foraged mushrooms, end quote, to remain. But she denied knowingly drying toxic mushrooms in it. She's like, yeah, I was drying some things, but I didn't dry toxic mushrooms in the dehydrator. But, you know, we know that there's literally evidence, like forensic evidence, that there were death caps in that dehydrator. Both. Oh no. It's a promise. It's a promise and a threat. Okay, so the prosecution hammered that the dehydrator in the tip was bought fairly recently. The dehydrator was bought in April 28th, 2023. So literally just 2 months before, May, June, July. Yeah, like 2-3 months before the dinner. 2-3 months. Like, come on. It was brand new. So that means it wasn't some like relic that she forgot she owned. It was literally brand new. And, you know, like it wasn't just like, oh, lying in her house. She just bought it that year, 3 months before. So it was a brand new machine. Okay, so this dump and run and the forensic trace is what turns maybe she lied about buying them into she likely dried the mushrooms herself. And at trial, the prosecution laid out a timeline that suggests Erin visited areas near her home, specifically Loch and Outram. I don't know if that's how you read it, but Loch and Outram. And those areas were reported specifically to have death cap mushrooms. And her data, like the phone data, shows her in those freaking areas before the murder. So shortly after death cap mushroom sightings were reported on, on this app, which is called iNaturalist, and that's where the death cap mushrooms were reported in those areas. And she actually was checking, she was using the app, and she went to the area before the murder. So the claim is that she forged the caps, for the death caps in the wild, and within 2 hours of a find. So this is like sometime in April, because within 2 hours of the find, so April 28th, she went and bought the dehydrator to process them so that they don't go bad, right? Like she got the mushrooms in April of 2023, bought the dehydrator to preserve them. Biggest question though, why? Yeah, I think everyone is wondering, like, why the fuck? What happened? We're gonna get to that, don't worry. But obviously, like, Erin denied remembering or using iNaturalist. Like, she denied deliberately foraging. Mind you, like, previously she was saying, like, no, I don't forage mushrooms. And now it's like, okay, I foraged some mushrooms, but I didn't forage death caps, and I wasn't in those areas. And now it's like, the data shows you were in those areas. And she's like, yeah, but okay, fine, but I did not forage death cap mushrooms. So they're like, which is it? And like, what, can you tell the truth? And then, you know, another glaring point was that when police executed a search of her Leongatha home, so that's where it happened, Leongatha, I think that's how you pronounce it, but they searched the home on August 5th 2023, so a couple of days after the lunch. They seized devices including her mobile phone. As it turns out, she had 3 mobile phones. Like, she just gave the investigators 1, but it turns out that she had 3. And she apparently did, like, later when they discovered it, that she had 3 phones. Yeah, like, she had like some Samsung phones, like 2 Samsung phones, one and another one, I don't remember what the phone was, but later when those other 2 phones were seized, it turns out that they had been factory reset. Yeah. And you know how that happened? Apparently, as the investigators were searching her home, she told one of the detectives, like, oh, I would like to call my lawyer, but I would like to talk to them. Obviously, I need some privacy. Can I go into my room and talk to my lawyer on the phone? And the detective allowed her to do so. They were like, okay, fine, go to the room, call your lawyer. There's a suspicion that this is when she pulled out the other 2 phones and factory reset them. So she, you know, wiped evidence from those 2 phones, and she swapped some, allegedly swapped like SIM cards too. Like, it's crazy. Like, she just exchanged SIM cards. It's, yeah. Shane says, girl is doing the classic, maybe I did, but it wasn't for a bad thing, I promise. Yeah, like, trust me, bro. And Suna Hanashi says she did the crime, obviously, and had a motive for doing so. She also lied, and tangible evidence proves it. Oh, absolutely. All of that will seal her fate. Yeah, so the story keeps shifting. I bought half of the mushrooms from Woolworths, you know, from the supermarket, half dried from Asian grocer. Then it changes to, I don't own a dehydrator or forage mushrooms. Then it changes to, I did own a dehydrator and I dumped it, but I didn't know toxic mushrooms were in it. And then it changed to, I may have tried to cover tracks because I panicked, not because I was guilty, you know, like she's like, okay, I made up for some mushrooms and maybe accidentally it was like death caps. And then I panicked and I started like swapping SIM cards and factory reset my phone because I panicked. So each version gets tested in court against physical evidence. The prosecution wove together the CCTV, the phone resets, the dumping of the dehydrator, and the contradictory narratives as pieces of a cover story. The defense painted them as panic, confusion, memory lapses, and tragic coincidence. Like, it's just a coincidence. She's innocent. They're just like, no, she's innocent. It's just, you know, she just has a very, like, she had like a tumultuous year. She was stressed because of the whole cancer diagnosis, and it's just, she was so stressed because of the cancer, right? And that's when the court is like, the judge is like, okay, fine, or the prosecutors are like, okay, fine, she was stressed because of cancer, let's go back to that, let's focus on that. Do you have cancer, Erin? Like, the important news, do you have cancer, right? Like that you shared at the at the lunch. And turns out she doesn't have cancer. She does not have cancer. She's like, oh, I don't have cancer. And they're like, because she couldn't present any biopsy, any scans. They were like, can you give us scans? Can you give us like any record of your hospital visits for cancer treatment? And she's like, no, I can't. I don't have cancer. And they're like, what? But didn't you say to the family that you had cancer? This was the news that you had to share with them. And she's like, oh, yes, but no, I never had cancer. So the defense countered that she wasn't trying to weave a murder plot. Like, girl, please. But that she embellished, because like, she embellished, like, she just used the cancer story because it was actually about something else. She was ashamed of her body. And she actually made a different medical decision. She wanted to, like, she actually said in court that, you know what, okay, it was about something else. It was about my body image. I was embarrassed. I was trying to lose weight and it wasn't working. But eventually I decided to get a gastric bypass surgery to lose weight, but it was too embarrassing. I was too embarrassed and ashamed to admit it to my family, and I needed an excuse for why I would be hospitalized for a while. Come on. So yeah, okay, fine. Let's go with that. Prosecutors were just like, okay, you know what, fine. Let's say we buy it, and if that's the case, give us the name of the hospital where this was scheduled. Your gastric bypass surgery was scheduled. So she gives them a name of a hospital. Lo and behold, that hospital doesn't even offer a gastric bypass surgery at all. They don't have this in their offer. Like, they don't do that kind of surgery. Yeah. Not to mention, by the way, like, even before, like, she was kind of like setting things up for, she was kind of creating a narrative for the cancer thing. So she was apparently telling her coworkers, not even the family, she was telling her coworkers that, she has this lump, like there's this lump in her elbow that she has to, get tested or something. There was no lump in her elbow. So it's like, lump in your elbow, or was it ovarian cancer? Because their stories are just like miles apart. It's just miles apart. She's cooked. She is cooked. The amount of times she's perjured herself is incredible. This is incredible. Yeah, that's Gilas says it, or Zealous. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, but herself is incredible. Part of me thinks it's on purpose, but realistically, she's just really bad at lying. It just fell apart because she thought, you know why it fell apart? You know why? The key is one of the victims survived. Ian survived. Oh, sorry. Also, Joshua, thank you so much. I'll add, Jesus Christ, you guys, I have to add 6 plushies. I think it's gonna crash my stream. Holy Godzilla, this woman can't stop bullspitting. And Tsunohanashi says, did she intentionally give them the wrong hospital, or is she somehow flying by the seat of her pants here without any real training or a license? I don't know. She just gave them a hospital. She thought like, oh, well, it's a hospital. They must have like gastric bypass surgery. And lo and behold, the hospital just doesn't. So yeah, like she was kind of setting things up for the supposed like cancer treatment, but then she just like, oh, I have a lump in the elbow. Oh, I have ovarian cancer. Oh, I'm gonna have a gastric bypass surgery. And it's like, none of it is true. So then one of the more damning revelations in court came not from the CCTV footage or lab results, but from chat logs that Erin participated in in this private Facebook community. The community was originally about true crime. That worries me. That does worry me, but the community was originally about true crime, or so it was framed. along with a small circle of friends. And over time, that group chat became less about cases, less about true crime, and more about daily venting, personal truths, and just, you know, raw emotions, like private life. Red flag. Hey, listen. Thankfully, it wasn't any group of any podcast that I listened to. It was just like a small group, like small private group of like about true crime, supposedly. But then it just kind of shifted to, well, chat, we're cooked. We are cooked. So yeah, like at first it was true crime, and then it just kind of shifted to other things, like, you know, like just kind of private conversations. And it was in those threads that Erin started to express things she never said under oath. If you wondered, because this is where we get to why, like why did she do this to her ex-husband's family? So court testimony revealed messages that she sent to the group in December of 2022, so almost 6 or so like months before the lunch. And she refers to her in-laws and Simon's family in scathing tones. She is calling them a lost cause. She is saying that she wanted nothing to do with them. She labels Simon as a deadbeat, and she casts blame on how his parents remained aloof in the financial and child support disputes. Like they didn't want to get involved and they didn't want to help her. And, you know, this was very different from what she was saying publicly about them. She was saying publicly that she loved them, they supported her, she, you know, like, oh, she saw them as her family. But in this chat group, she was saying something completely different. And these are some of the messages. So she says, so Dawn said they can't adjudicate if they don't know both sides, and Simon won't give his side. So he said all he can ask is that Simon and I get together to pray for the children, this family. I swear to fucking God. I said to him about 50 times yesterday that I didn't want them to adjudicate. Nobody bloody listens to me. At least I know they're a lost cause. I'm sick of this shit. I want nothing to do with them. I thought his parents would want him to do the right thing, but it seems they're concerned about not wanting to feel uncomfortable and not wanting to get involved in their son's personal matters are overriding that's so fuck them. I don't want to hear it. Simon's will just be horrible and be gaslighting and abusive, and it will ruin my day, and his parents will be more weasel words about not getting involved. So I think I'm going to just move on. So yeah. So this is very different from I loved them. They were always good to me. I'm trying to be cooperative to whatever this is. So the messages also showed the tipping point in Erin and Simon's relationship. So basically what happened in 2022, Simon's tax accountant filed him as separated, right? Because they were married, but they were already divorced. But they were kind of like filing their taxes under like married or something. Like there was like a tax kind of tax statute. No, sorry, not statute. Tax status situation. So basically his accountant filed him as separated, right? Because he's divorced, despite many years before when they kind of reported a joint married status. And you know, suddenly Erin lost eligibility to receive some kind of benefits or some kind of child support under this scheme that she relied on. And yeah, like suddenly the financial cushion that she thought existed, like was pulled away. And from then on, you know, tensions escalated, disputes over child support, responsibility for school fees, medical costs, like, you know, just little fights turned big. And the family didn't want to get involved, and she was really upset. By mid-2023, even Simon's own testimony was that, signs of any friendship or any like good relationship were gone, you know, like they were not friendly anymore. And that's why also Simon kind of partly, he said like that's like he wasn't really busy that day, at lunch. He was just like, he didn't want to attend, but he kind of like gave an excuse like, oh, I can't make it. And ironically, that saved his life. So Erin even tried to get the in-laws to mediate, right? But then, yeah, talk to your son. But they were saying like, oh, we're staying out of it. So she's like, well, in that case, fuck them. Fuck him. You know, I don't want to have anything to do with them, right? And in that same Facebook friend group, the one that she used for venting, for support, for sharing bits of life and cooking tips, there was a message that prosecutors flagged as absolutely chilling. So Erin allegedly told the group that she had been hiding powdered mushrooms in everything. As in, she was mixing powdered mushrooms into brownies, into sauces, and sneaking them into foods that her kids wouldn't detect, you know, because her kids apparently didn't like mushrooms. And this is what she said. I've been hiding powdered mushrooms in everything, mixed it into chocolate brownies yesterday. The kids had no idea. Obviously, those were not the death caps. Like, this is not the death cap mushrooms, but she was like, oh, I'm drying mushrooms, powdering them, turning them into powder, and then putting them in my kids' food because they don't like mushrooms. So I just kind of sneak them in by powdering them. And then obviously these were not the death caps, these were normal mushrooms. But then she had the same idea for the death caps. So powdered the death caps. And yeah, that wasn't speculation or hearsay. This was her own words, that she is, you know, making the mushrooms into powder. And her friends testified about this too. One of them said that Erin sent pictures of a dehydrator in her kitchen, just used for mushrooms. She said, like, the dehydrator was literally just used for mushrooms. And this is the dehydrator in question. So this is the one that she dumped. And yeah, like that message about hiding powdered mushrooms became more than just okay, odd way to sneak in mushrooms, but why not? It just became evidence of experimentation, right? Like she was practicing on normal mushrooms so that she knows that, oh, I can make the death cap mushrooms into a powder. Yeah, great. It looks like a CD holder. I guess kind of, but it's a food dehydrator. So I don't know. That can be used as an admission of guilt against her, I believe. The fact she confessed, so many things can just like be used here. Jesus Christ. And yeah, later, the forensics team went deeper. Authorities searched Erin's tablet and other devices, and they found 13 images where it included the food dehydrator trays full of sliced mushrooms on her devices, mushrooms laid out on a digital scale to weight them, dehydrated mushroom specimens lined up for measurement, drying. Like one of the key photos was Exhibit 18, where it's like 3 images. Well, there was like an image showing what looked like foraged mushrooms, and this looks very, very suspicious. This looks like death cap mushrooms, like you guys. And yeah, like they were placed on a tray and then on a weighting scale. So yeah, that's the key evidence. She literally had a picture of it. Why did you take a picture of it? Why did you take a picture of it? Oh my God, do not take pictures of death cap mushrooms in your kitchen. So this one time she thought she could brag about it. Seriously, was she trying to make a death cap recipe book? I don't know, but she was taking pictures of this. And yeah, like this is a crime scene photo. Like that's crime scene. That's just like this looks like the death cap mushrooms, and they were death cap mushrooms. So in cross-examination, Erin admitted that she had done some experimenting, trying, temperatures, drying times, figuring out how long to dehydrate. She claimed that the mushrooms in one photo, supposedly these mushrooms were not death cap mushrooms. They were like basic button mushrooms from the supermarket, but they're not. Like, you can tell that they're not. And the jury had the photos, the expert testimony, and the pattern, and the expert was just like, yeah, these are death caps. these are death caps. Like, these are not edible mushrooms. So the prosecution argued that she was not just a cook who misstepped. Like, this was not an accident. She was running small experiments, and this was very premeditated, and it was just all, preparation for that lunch. Okay. So they say every mystery ends somewhere, some with closure, some with only more questions. In the Erin Patterson case, there are still so many questions, but at least all the evidence let the jury decide on the verdict. And after a 9-week trial in the Supreme Court of Victoria, sitting in Morwell, the jury deliberated for 6 days. On July 7th, 2025, so this year, they returned with a verdict, like unanimous verdict. Erin Patterson was found guilty of 3 counts of murder, so Dawn, Gail, Heather, and 1 count of attempted murder, so Ian. Also, Shai, thank you so much, Jesus Christ. Yes, this is what I get for covering the case. But I want to eat the funny looking mushrooms. Don't, Jesus guys, don't. But yeah, so 3 counts of murder for Dawn Patterson, Gail Patterson, Heather Wilkinson, and then 1 attempted murder, Ian Wilkinson, the only survivor of the lunch. So she had pleaded not guilty because, of course, she pleaded not guilty. She was maintaining her version of events, that the poisoning was a tragic accident. She had no idea that these were death caps, and the jury rejected that explanation because, obviously, throughout the verdict reading, Erin reportedly showed like very little emotion. Like, she just sat, she was blinking, she was sitting there blinking rapidly, watching the process, but she didn't really she didn't care. And the sentencing hearing came later on September 8th. So this month, September 8th, 2025, Justice Christopher Beale delivered his ruling. Erin Patterson was sentenced to life imprisonment for each of the 3 murders, plus 25 years for the attempted murder count. So all those sentences were ordered to run concurrently, so overlapping rather than one after another, which, I mean, whatever, like, it doesn't matter. She's sentenced to life in prison. And crucially, the court set a non-parole period of 33 years. So in effect, that means that Erin Patterson cannot apply for parole until 2056, when she would be about 82 years old, and she's 50 as of the verdict, now. And she actually has 28 days from the sentencing to file appeals, challenging either her conviction, her sentence, or both. And she probably will. They probably will file for appeal. She still has, obviously she still has time, a couple of days left. But that's it. That's the story of Erin Patterson and the mushroom cap murders, or mushroom murders. Crazy, you guys. What happened? What is going on? Why? This story was crazy. The story was absolutely insane. Like, the dehydrator, foraging mushrooms. There was even, by the way, I didn't mention it because it wasn't that crucial to the story, but she did claim that she was unwell for days after. She was also unwell, and she was having diarrhea. She was having the same symptoms even after she left the hospital. But there was a record of, she was saying oh yeah, I was vomiting and I had diarrhea and I don't know, I survived. But there's a record of her driving 90 minutes to another town to drop off her son for some kind of extracurriculars, something some kind of extra classes or extra activities, and she was driving 90 minutes, and apparently there was just one stop during that whole ride. And yeah, and the son could not testify that it was because mom was feeling unwell or anything. She was yeah, I had raging diarrhea, that's why I had to stop. But it's just yeah, if you have raging diarrhea, you wouldn't be able to drive 90 minutes, or it's weird. Okay, it's good to see you all too. Yeah, Shai, thank you so much. Good to see you. Buries all the deadly funny looking mushrooms. Okay, that's all the mushrooms. You guys, just be careful. Don't forage for mushrooms, because it's like, you know, you never know what you're gonna pick up. Erin absolutely knew. She absolutely knew what she was gonna pick up. You know, like she was researching. She was doing her research and she was planning this out. So this is very clear cut. Well, I mean, clean cut case. Like it didn't seem at first, but then later, yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, like they did check because the kids also ate the beef Wellingtons, but apparently these did not have mushrooms. Like hers and the kids, like, oh, they did not have mushrooms because the kids didn't like mushrooms or whatnot. Yeah. Well, anyway. Life is like a box of mushrooms. You never know what you're gonna get. You might get a death cap. Oh, damn, just realized I haven't fully been in a stream for a good minute. Glad to be back. Hey! Glad you're back. Don't worry, Undead Rabbit. I've been given a clean bill of health. Yay! And a bill, and I'm good. And a bill, and I am good. All good, probably. Shai, I hope you're okay. Oh my god. I hope you feel good. I hope you feel much better now. And take care of yourself. First and foremost, take care of yourself. Don't worry about streams. You know, like just recover. Just recover. Speedy recovery. She definitely shot her own foot. Oh yeah, like so many times. So many times. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for today. This is the end of the case. And I'm gonna be back on Thursday, not Thursday, sorry. I'm gonna be back on Wednesday. So I'm gonna see you guys back on, see you guys on Wednesday with something spooky. We might watch some scary videos. We might do something spooky. This week, I also have a collab with the Quad Squad. So we're gonna play some scary game, and then I'll be back on Patreon with another case. We did have a crazy case this week. We had a 4chan murder case, a guy who posted first, like he murdered someone, and the first thing he does is post the pictures of the body on 4chan, and 4chan is figuring it out, right? Like they were investigating, and eventually it just happened so fast. It was crazy. The case was absolutely insane. If you're curious, it's on my Patreon. So that's patreon.com/FEARSONA. And yeah, so I'm gonna be back with a case for Patreon, and I'm gonna be back here hopefully with a case for YouTube. Sona, did you play Silk Song? Asking for a friend. No, I did play Hollow Knight, but I have not tried Silk Song yet. So I might try it. Maybe sometime soon. That's it. Thank you so much, you guys, for today. We're adding plushies. We have an abundance of plushies already, but we have to add 7. I think wait. Yeah, we have to add 7. Jesus, it's gonna break. By the way, like I'm gonna be resetting this every month. So every month we're gonna start from 0. Because today is the last, no, wait, it's second to last. Yeah, but we're gonna be, Jesus Christ. Jeez, oh my god, I talked so much that it's just my voice just went toaster. But yeah, we're gonna be resetting the plushies every month, and you know, adding more. So yeah, so this is the last day. This is the last time you see the plushies this month. Then next time it's gonna be empty. The couch will be empty. Okay, let me add 7. Jesus Christ. Okay, I have to add 7 of them. Lord. Okay. 8? Jeez. Oh, okay. 8. Stop the madness. 8. Thanks. Thank you. This is wonderful. Okay. Is it crows this time? Oh no, it's trash pandas. You know what? Let me put a trash panda on the plant. Why not? Sorry. Oh, okay. So that's 1. That's 2. That's 3. Let's just put it here. Oh, shit. Okay. We're good. That's 4. Jesus, I have so many plushies now. How do I do this? 4. Okay. Maybe 5. And then this one. Let's just put it here somewhere. Oh. 6. Jesus. 7. And now let's put one like at the very, very front. Yeah, 8. Okay, it's just kind of... Okay. This is the final number. That's the final number of plushies. God, so many plushies. But maybe if we get enough, Duncan can climb out. No. I mean, maybe. You know what? Maybe. Okay. I don't know why my throat is like making the sounds. It's making sounds. Okay. Thank you so much for today again. You guys stay safe out there. Always lock your doors and windows. Bear your hexes until Wednesday. Until the next time. So I'm gonna see you guys on Wednesday. In the meantime, take care and see you later. See you next time. My God, Sona's gone nuts again. I've gone maybe a little bit overboard, but I'm working on it. Next time we might have like a new setup, maybe like a new background or a new something. King Trash Panda, Jesus. Okay, so I guess I have to add another one. Wait. I'm gonna add another one. Jesus. Okay, second Trash Panda. Okay. That's it, you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye. Bye. Joshua, thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna add another one. I'm adding another plushie. But thank you. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.